Coming up today, we got a fun game we're going to play with Bill Litton, a little game called Overrated, Underrated, or Rightly Rated. We'll do that coming up now. Welcome in. This is the Smart Mortgage Show. Thanks for joining us. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. We appreciate that support. He is Bill Litton, Regional President at Cross Country Mortgage in Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania. Bill, we're always super serious on this channel, obviously, right? So I figured we'd loosen up a little bit and play a game today.
I love it. Let's get loose.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so here's the concept. Very simple, probably self-explanatory, but I'll go ahead and explain it anyway. Overrated, underrated, or rightly rated. I'm going to throw something your way. It's going to be related to what you do, obviously, and you're going to tell me if it's overrated, underrated, or rightly rated, and explain your answer for us, Bill. So let's start off with a high credit score. Everybody's goal, right, when they're going into the home buying process. But as a high credit score, is that overrated, underrated, or rightly rated?
I would say that one is rightly rated. You know, the credit score is really important and it's going to help you save money. It's definitely going to get you like the difference between an 800 credit score and a 620 on a conventional loan is over 1% difference in interest rate. Probably additional fees would apply as well. So, of course, gravitating towards or working hard to try and get that credit score to 800 is something you should do. But, I hear a lot of people that think that, hey, I've got a 620 score. I've got 30 or 40,000 saved, but I don't think I can buy a house because of that 620 score. So I'm going to keep renting. In that case, we got to look at the numbers. We got to go through the process. But you're probably better off, even with a 620 credit score, buying a house than renting. So I think that credit score is rightly rated. I mean, it's important, but it's not 100% necessary to buy a house. And you're going to be better off with home ownership than being a renter.
All right. So that's our first one, high credit score. What about pre-qualification? And I guess it's important to notice the word pre-qualification versus the other one, right?
Yeah, so pre-qualification is absolutely overrated. In fact, a pre-qualification just means you've answered a few cursory questions and then a lender or a loan officer issues a pre-qualification letter. The problem with that is they're not scientific at all. They've not looked at the credit or the income or the funds to close, and therefore they can be extremely misleading and won't result in the borrower, the person borrowing the money. It won't result in them actually acquiring the loan, therefore not getting the house, and all the pain that comes along with that maybe a real estate agent drove this person around for 6 months. They go under contract. The home buyer or borrower, they've spent money on all kinds of inspections, and they've got deposits out there. And I mean, buying a house is a pretty big undertaking. You want to be certain that you can actually consummate the transaction. You want to have a strong degree of certainty that all the numbers that maybe the pre-qualification, you can get the loan, but it looks way different than what you were told. And now your payments are $1,000 a month higher, or you need an extra $10,000 at the table. I mean, these aren't small issues. These are really big issues. Pre-qualification, you're going to run into those issues. Pre-approval, you will not run into those issues if working with a reputable lender.
So Cross Country Mortgage, do you guys even pre-qualify people, or is it strictly pre-approval?
You know what? Great question, Ben. We don't even offer a pre-qualification only because, like you said, right? When you started this second question here, you said, let's pay attention to the word pre-qualified. Right. Sometimes if that's missed, and, people are human, they miss things. And a real estate agent sees pre-qualification, doesn't realize the difference in definition and how nuanced that is. They might accept the offer and put their seller in a really bad. So we will never issue something that says pre-qualified. it will only ever say pre-approved, which means we've gone through the process and we've looked at all the important details to provide a degree of certainty that we're going to get this to the table.
All right, we're playing a game of overrated, underrated, or rightly rated with Bill Litton and Cross Country Mortgage. And Bill, next one is home ownership. This is a good one, obviously. How would you rate this?
So home ownership, I think, is, and it depends on who you talk to. I think most people agree that home ownership is a really valuable thing to do, a smart thing to do in many ways. So you could almost say rightly rated, but I'm going to go to the level of underrated, and I'll tell you why. Um, a lot of people realize, there's a lot of smart people out there, and they realize, I don't want to pay somebody else's mortgage. I don't want to rent. There's some characteristics that they are familiar with, and it's enough to get them to go out and purchase a home to live in rather than rent. But I think there's so much even beyond those kind of high level items that are really important. And if you really dig into the numbers, and we've done shows on this, Ben, right? It's in the catalog. We've done videos on it. We've done examples of it. But, for instance, I'll just give you a quick one is if you bought a house for $100,000 and you put down 5%, $5,000, and the house increased by 5% in the first year, which is not uncommon, you just got 100% return on your money. So the way that the value of the home grows, and then as you're paying down the loan amount and amortizing it down, the amount of equity that you build is really staggering. It's an awesome thing. It's an amazing thing about our country and the way that our housing market has stayed vital and has stayed strong. It's a fabulous thing. I don't think it could be overstated. So I'm going to go with underrated on that one.
All right. If you would have said overrated, Bill, I would have had a whole completely different set of questions to follow up with you on. So, yeah, I'll take that answer.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Next one, a good real estate agent. We've talked about, the role a real estate agent plays. And obviously, if you're out looking for a home, you're probably working with one. Well, maybe not necessarily, but for most people. So how would you rate a good real estate agent? Let's all clarify a good real estate agent.
I think that, well, actually, I don't think I know that working with a good real estate agent, it's actually underrated. People don't buy houses enough to know that you've got to have a great team. And the most important person on that team is going to be your real estate agent. They're the leader of the transaction. Having a good realtor is going to be the difference between buying the right house, buying the wrong house. It's going to be the difference between going in eyes wide open and knowing exactly what you're getting into versus having a lot of surprises down the road. Things you don't even think about that they're thinking about as you're driving up to the house. They're looking at high tension wires, or where's the closest 7-Eleven in relation to the home, or, is there a train close by, and is that noise going to be a big deterrent when you go to sell? And many, many, many other things, too many to list. Having a good real estate agent is underrated. So pay close attention, find the right realtor, get a great referral, look at the reviews online, make sure you gel with the realtor. There's a lot of realtors out there. If you don't gel with them, find the one that you do gel with. I'm lucky enough that I work with a ton of them. If you need a referral, call me. I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction.
When you said 7-Eleven, Bill, I thought you were going to say Wawa. I thought the real estate agent helps you find the nearest Wawa.
You know what? I didn't want to I love Wawa so much. I didn't want to put Wawa in a negative light at all here, because you never know. Living close to the Wawa is different than the 7-Eleven.
That's true. That is true. All right, got a couple more here playing overrated, underrated, or rightly rated. 20% down. Now, this is a goal I think for a lot of people on a down payment, or at least they believe, hey, I really should need to put 20% down, avoid PMI to save me a little bit of money on my monthly payment. So where do you stand on 20%, Bill?
20% down, I would say, is overrated. And I think it's because a lot of people think you need to do that, or that if you don't do that, that it's really a negative thing and it's very prohibitive or not smart or unwise. what's unwise is really waiting. If you had waited until you had 20% down and you started shopping for homes in 2020, and you waited until you had 20% and say it took you 3 years, you're talking about paying an extra 40% for the same house. And that extra cost in purchase price of the home far outweighs any of the negatives that would come along with putting less than 20% down. So tons of programs available for less than 20% down, many ways to make, be creative or not even need to be creative to do less than 20% down, because there's so much available to help people get into a home with as little as 0 down on a VA loan or USDA, 3% down on conventional, 3.5% down on FHA, all great ways to get into a house.
Well, you mentioned some programs for people putting less than 20% down. That's what I want to ask you about here. So the programs, and this can kind of be maybe a broader kind of question here, but I think of like first-time home buyer programs. Do these types of programs, are they overrated, underrated, or are they rightly rated?
Well, I would say that when you look at some of the specialty programs, like a first-time home buyer program, again, I think those can be overrated. And here's why. If you can qualify for them, that's fabulous. If there's free money available, that's great. A lot of them, the money's not free, or it takes 10 years or a certain amount of time for it to be forgiven. When you go to sell, a lot of people forget that that's even there, and then they kind of get smacked with this extra amount of money that they need to pay that they weren't thinking about. Or maybe it's in the form of a second mortgage and the rates and terms are higher, or the terms on the main mortgage are higher because you took money. So we got to look at the options. A lot of times people will come to me and they've got sufficient monies to buy a house and they're first time buyers. And actually the first time home buyer loans offer terms that are less attractive. So they actually, over time, not only do they pay back the monies that they had to put down, but they pay back more than that with fees and higher rates. So those types of programs, I would say, are, look, fabulous if you qualify and it makes sense for your scenario, but way overrated and a lot of times not needed. And in some cases, I would say it's actually, a disadvantage.
Okay, very interesting. Well, we appreciate you having some fun with us, Bill, playing this game, overrated, underrated, or rightly rated. And look, to find out what's best for you, what's going to be the best fit for you within your mortgage and for that home that you've been eyeing or maybe thinking about purchasing this year, always begin with that free mortgage and loan consultation. It's a short call, but it gives Cross Country Mortgage a chance, opportunity to learn more about you, understand your goals, what you're trying to accomplish, and that can help you get the best mortgage and the best opportunity for yourself and for your family. If you want to learn more, just text LEND to 21,000. Again, LEND to 21,000, and that'll allow you to get in touch with Bill and begin that process. So good stuff, Bill, as always. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk again with you next week.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
This program is for informational purposes only. Please consult a qualified professional before taking any action. Bill Litton is a loan advisor and regional president with Cross Country Mortgage, NMLS number 147060.